Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Wraparound. In this edition, we cover the end of regular season standings for the ECL's Neo Division. Let's get right into it. Group number 1, topped by Rusty Bulls. Previously in a tie with HC Ranico and able to top them by the end of it with a 15-1-0 record. Tremendous accomplishment for them, and of course the other teams that have managed to make it into the playoffs. More about them in a little bit. Group 2 headed up by Red Goblins over Flashback Squad via tiebreaker, but the Goblins were in the lead the last time we had our look in. Great to see them hold on to that spot. We'll see if they can get it done in the playoffs. Group 3 led previously by the Engaral Pythons, but they miss out on that number 1 spot via tiebreaker on goal differential compared to Lawson Lampat, who grab that number 1 spot, winning 10 of their last 10 at the very least. So again, a tremendous turnaround for them. Group 4, Glassbanken do in fact get it done. Last time we looked in, they were at 9-1. They finished the season at 15-1-0. And our final group, HBGB, get it done. Or is it HBGBG? Who's to say? But still, regardless of how the name might be a tongue twister for me, 17-1-0. They get it done, dropping just the 1 game this season, and that sets them up as the number 1 seed in the playoffs. But before we take a look at that, how about some of these regular season numbers? We talked about them before. My little Tommy, 82 points in 16 games played. Absolutely tremendous stuff. The pace died down a little bit at the end of the regular season with just 4 points in the last 2 games played, but obviously just an outstanding total. Goal-wise, though, it was Olish, and apologies if I'm missaying that. Hey, continue to play like this, and I will have to get your name right on Elite Division broadcast sooner rather than later. 39 goals in 16 games. Look at this, though, as well. 38 goals in 14. There were some high firepower players in the Neo Division this season. And it's not just limited to forwards, defenders as well. Adam with 57 points in 18 games played, which is just outrageous. Outrageous. And goaltending wise, the winningest, Ale got it done, 17-1-0, played in all 18 games, but just a 79% save percentage, leading the way on that front. The previously mentioned Lakritsi Pipu, at least in terms of games played, strong, with a, no pun intended, strong performance for their club, but just 4 games played in the regular season. So some very interesting numbers that set the stage for the postseason, as again we mentioned it, HGBG leading the way, or is it HBGBG? You're the new Antonio Manning. Congratulations. But they are the number 1 seed, taking on Old But Gold, Rusty Bulls in that 2 spot, Glassbank in 3rd, Red Goblins 4th, and Lawson Lampart, our final group winner in the number 5 spot. We will be following along as the playoffs play out, and we'll see how this bracket looks on our next update a few weeks from now.
SportsGamer introduces casual skill-capped NHL 23 and FIFA 23 leagues to run throughout the summer at an easy pace. Join the fun and get a taste of competitive gaming in a supportive environment. Go to sportsgamer.gg/CEHL for more information.
Welcome back to the Wraparound. On this edition, it is the end of season recap for the ECL Core Division, and we will get right down to it. A lot to talk about, including our winners of group number 1 at the very least, French Eagles. When we previously looked at group 1, it was Black Sharks leading the way, but we mentioned, of course, that both Isman Valinta and French Eagles were 9-1 in their last 10, and indeed for the Eagles, that was able to propel them to the top of the group at 25-3-0. Tremendous job by that club, and finishing with 103 goals for 4 clubs, the top 4 from this group, all with over 100 goals on the season. How about Nameless, though? 121 goals, but 105 allowed. Miss out on the playoffs via tiebreaker with goal differential. Very, very surprising. Group 2, previously led by Temperataisto, and here they are again leading the way, 21-4-3, 2 points above their nearest competition, and they lock down the spot. We talked about Dompa HC and Latvian Warriors potentially being within striking distance and better form, and with games at hand, Dompa, decent end to the season at 7-0-3, but the Latvian Warriors falling off a little bit, not nearly far enough to fall out of the playoffs, but man, 4 points, it's really not all that far, and that sets up the postseason. But before talking about that, we'll throw it over to the stats as Regal and let me know again. We're going to learn these names because I have a feeling we're going to see some of you in those higher divisions sooner rather than later, especially with numbers like this. But by 1 point and in 2 fewer games, taking the scoring title with 89 points in 26 games. Goal scoring, however, goes to Coco. 43 goals in 28 games, one of just 3 players to break that 40 goal mark this season. Again, you're in one of those higher clubs and you need some players, you're best served to be scouting some of these lower divisions. There are some players that absolutely should be getting a look sooner rather than later. Defensively, the numbers were close, but Pensa Samiz, I'm going to go with Pensa because I know I got that wrong, but 39 points in 26 games. Again, another name. Tell me the correct pronunciation. I need to put some respect on your name after a very strong season. 11 goals as a defender. Nobody else had more than 8. Fantastic stuff there. Great season. And in goal, 25-3-0. I'm going to go with Troll because I've already embarrassed myself on enough names here today. Save percentage-wise as well, 87%. The most amongst starters. Tremendous season. 5 shutouts as well, tied for the lead league. So you see some of the players to keep an eye out on as we get to the playoffs. French Eagles have that number 1 seed. Temperataisto in that second spot. We are down to the top 16 in the core division. By the time you hear from us next on the next edition of the Wraparound, we'll be just that much further through and that much closer to knowing who will be crowned champion.
SportsGamer introduces casual skill-capped NHL 23 and FIFA 23 leagues to run throughout the summer at an easy pace. Join the fun and get a taste of competitive gaming in a supportive environment. Go to sportsgamer.gg/CESL for more information. All right, I am here with Mia Ruumensaari, better known as Karkki. Karkki, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so for maybe anyone that hasn't seen you around the community before, just kind of introduce yourself and tell us how long you've been a part here at the Sports Gamer community.
Hi everybody, my name is Karkki and also Mia Ruumensaari. I have been playing SportsGamer since 2017. Yeah, long time.
Yeah, a little bit of experience, always a good thing. So just kind of tell us, where does your love for the game of hockey, not just NHL and playing it specifically, but just the sport as a whole comes from?
When I was younger, I loved to play video games with my dad. And then I had my little brother. And then I started to play with him when he was a little bit older. And we loved to compete when we were playing like NHL or FIFA, and I started loving it more and more and want to get good at it. So that's where it comes from.
Yeah, just kind of just random questions. I know you kind of mentioned FIFA there. What are maybe some other games you just like to play, whether it be competitively or just casually when you're not kind of into the NHL part of things?
I used to play Call of Duty competitively, like I don't remember the year, but a long time ago in Xbox 360.
So obviously you mentioned that you've been a part of SportsGamer since around 2017. What's a favorite maybe memory or moment since you've joined the community, whether it be something that happened in the game or maybe a specific team or maybe one of the actual meetups that maybe you've been a part of as well?
It was when I did go to the Raccoon Rampage. That was my first team when I started to play more seriously. So those guys were awesome. I loved to play with them and I got so many good memories from that team.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you kind of mentioned as well, just kind of being a part of one of those teams, but you're also on a pretty special team or a pretty special group as well, being one of the few women in not just the NHL community, but here at Sports Gamer as well. What has your experience kind of been like being one of the few women in the community, but also somebody that's well known and respected as well?
Well, it's a funny ride that I have been having because there is no many girls who play NHL. So for me, that it's been like I don't think that I'm a girl with a group of guys. Many things that, but I think that was the one thing that got me going forward, and like I never had the issues that I'm a girl with the guys, but maybe someone has, but I didn't have those.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe for somebody that's younger, that's a girl that's watching that maybe wants to get into not just the NHL side of esports, but maybe just any esport in general. What's a piece of advice that you would maybe get them of how to get into it, how to maybe kind of break their way into it, or even just enjoy the esports side of things?
Just be open-minded and don't let like the expectations that just don't let them get into you. Just be open-minded and do what you love to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just for anyone listening that wants to kind of keep in touch with you or wants to kind of follow what you're doing here in the NHL community, where could they find you on socials?
They can find me in Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch also. So yeah.
Yeah, you can see your Twitter right down below the name. Mia, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Welcome back to the Wraparound. In this edition, we go through the end of season results for the ECL's Lite division. Let's get to it. We start off with group number 1. The last time we checked in, it was Dark Wild at the top, and that is exactly where they finished. We talked about the red hot SCB esports lineup. They were able to finish in 6th, but not able to make up that ground. Dark Wild get it done by just 1 point over Technical Disaster. But 8-1-1 in your last 10 is the way to get it done. That brings us to this second group, of course, which was led previously by the red hot Napola. And oh, what do you know? They are also there living up to that potential that they had this season. It was cheeky grinders primarily that we looked at to be, perhaps be able to catch them with games at hand. And they were red hot, but ultimately Napola get it done. Group 3, previously led by Boost HC, but they find themselves in 3rd at the end of the regular season, jumped by Supernatural and Musta Kulta by the end of the season. 2 clubs that we said might be able to catch them, Shameful Knights as well, who are in that conversation, but they find themselves finishing in 7th. Group 4 brings us to Skellefteå, and indeed, we called them out last time as, hey, these are the guys that should win this group, and indeed, they did. But it was good to see Punakala up there, who, again, we thought might have a chance at catching them. Another very interesting group, and of course, that brings us to the end of it. So let's talk about some stats and some numbers here before getting in to the playoffs. Regular season wise, there were some high scores to say the least. But it was Alu-Pekka's taking the lead, 96 points in 30 games to win the league scoring title. 45 goals as well, tied for the lead league with Toninen. But again, a tremendous season there. 96 points, 45 goals, and a player to keep an eye out on in the future. Defensively, pretty close race here. 4 players with at least 40 points, but Veltala gets it done. 45 in the 30 games played. By the way, 12 goals, 2 defenders with double digits in terms of goals. You love to see that. For the goaltenders, the winningest was Yorkis. And again, hey, names, we're going to get there, but 24-6-0, deserving of the respect. The save percentage leader, though, I should say, was Miyaza at an 88.24, playing 16 games, finishing 11, 2, and 3. Your shutout leader, though, Jonte, you would have seen them up there for the 23, 1, and 2 record, and indeed 8 shutouts on the season for Skellefteå, which sets us up for the postseason, where they are the number 1 seed. Musta Kalta, obviously in second, Napoli third, Dark Wild in fourth. A lot of teams still alive. Their hopes of winning a light division postseason title very much alive. And by the next time you join us here for an edition of the Wraparound, we will have just that much more information and be down to just the final few teams.
Kumpi voittaa virtuaalilätkän Suomen mestaruuden 2023? Ei se kaukana käy ja sieltä se poikkari tulee. Haketaan sitä poikittaisyöttöä ja sieltä se vaan löytyy. Kerta toisensa jälkeen. 2023 Suomen mestaruus, sieltä tulee vielä Teppanen ja siitä puoli sekuntia jäljellä. Tuota matsi vielä 4-4 tasoihin, eikä se ole missään nimessä vielä ohi. Ja nyt tästä jos alivoimalla ottaa maaliin, niin se olisi kyllä uskomaton tempo ajaa sieltä tulee ja sinne uittaa! Sinne uittaa! Ja kyllä siitä Teppanen vaan sitten lopulta se Suomen mestaruuden itselleen ottaa. Pystyy vielä alivoimalla karkaamaan sitä omalta alueelta. Suomen mestaruusfinaali L19 All Stars vastaan Nordic Stars. Paras 5 ottelussa siis kyseessä. Ja sinne helähtää. Ire tulee sitä keskeltä läpi ja sinne tuikkaa längeestä sisään ja näin. Se käy sinne maalin edustalle ja kyllä se lopulta vaan Patsafille päätyy. Ehkä vähän. Loimu saa pidetty vielä alueelle hyvin. L19 All Stars siirtyy johtoon. Teki Patsafille maali edustalle ja sinne herätään kyllä Patsaf on tänään aikamoisessa vauhdissa. Ajaa se keskelle, tiputtaa edelleen ja takas Patsafille ja sinne uppoaa. Nyt kisutellaan oikein luvan takaa. NHL19 All Stars ottaa virtuaalilätkän Suomen mestaruuden 2023 puhtaasti 3-0 voitoin.
Looking to grow you or your team's platform through sponsorships or brand deals? Well, look no further than SportsGamer's Community Sponsorship Program. For more information or to submit an application, go to sportsgamer.gg/sponsorship.
Welcome back to the Wraparound. In this edition, we cover the end of regular season results for the ECL's Pro Division. Let's get into it, shall we? Group number 1 kicks off with Luleå Hockey, who we looked at previously as a club that could take that first group, and indeed they did. Staving off a really strong push from Deadly Phantoms, who last time out we said, hey, they're finding their form. They were 8-1-1 at that point. They finish with 10 straight wins, 23-5-2. Still not enough to make that jump, but it was enough to push them over the likes of Purification to finish in that second spot behind Luleå. Well done there, to say the least. Elsewhere, of course, we know Valko, Björklöven Esport, and Exerseo are safe for next season, while Bastu, Gifu Hockey, and Visio will have to fight for their survival. Neptune Hockey and Red Bull Munich Esports have been relegated down to the light division. In group number 2, previously led by Golden Knights, but not at the end of the season, Sika and Polski boys both put up a fight as we predicted, but in the end it was Sika who were able to get it done at 23-6-1 and claim that top spot, that top seed out of group 2. Of course, we know Hawaii Hockey, Brinas, and Nova are safe for next season, while the Hervlev Eagles, Arkham Asylum, and Venom will fight for their survival. Djurgården Hockey and Icebaren Lauf Gaming find themselves down in the light division for next season. That'll bring us to some of the stats, and we pointed him out last time, and surprise, surprise, Jansku, the former elite player, gets it done. In terms of the scoring race, 94 points in those 30 games. Adrift, or perhaps AdriF23. Let me know. 92 points, though. Again, another player. I want to know the correct pronunciation because I got a feeling we're going to be seeing you on Elite Division broadcast sooner rather than later if you're putting up numbers like that. Absolutely tremendous. And with 46 goals, claiming the goal-scoring crown over Jansku. Tremendously done. Not that many players, as you can tell, hitting that 40-goal mark. So a tremendous accomplishment there this season. Defensively, another former Elite player, of course, for the Deadly Phantoms, Psycho Skills, 54 points in 30 games played, leading the way. And that's quite the accomplishment because you have other Elite Division staples, Migobuna, Sile, that are there in the division. For Psycho Skills, 54 points. That is a tremendous, tremendous amount. And of course, Wickman, wow, love that name. 10 goals in 30 games played, leading the way, again, over someone else with Elite Division experience in Matalaiska. For your goaltenders, the winningest Hiatala getting it done. Another player with Elite Division experience, 25, 3-2 on the season. In terms of save percentage among starters, though, I would give it to Costi with 30 games played. All 30 games played. Jackson Rules did very well as well with 14 games played. But again, an 85.71 in 30 games. That's a really, really solid number. Your shutout leader, the previously mentioned Hiatala. And that brings us to the playoffs. Of course, as we know, at the very least, Final Four is where you want to be. That'll find you with at least a relegation series ahead of you with a chance to earn your way to the Elite Division. But only one team can get that automatic promotion spot. And it's going to be very interesting to see who is able to step up. Last time out, it was Totorit in our winter season who went on an incredible run. And there are so many teams here that you could see making that jump, whether it be the experience of Luleå Hockey, Sika as the other number 1 seed. Arctic have been in that conversation for the past couple of seasons. Deadly Phantoms have that prior Elite Division experience. Be a Bro have looked like they'd be able to step up. HV71. We talked about Polski boys, and what about Parami Chomatov esports really stepping up over the past little while. This field is wide open. There are favorites, but as we've seen in the pro division, anything can happen. My name is Tuki, joined as always by my broadcast partner, Mr. Sin for the win. And Sin, today we football. Fakes the run here, gonna run out to his right with Josh Allen, to the pillar, touchdown, Zolmo! King it over the line here, out to the left, that one's intercepted! Nobody's gonna stop him, pick 6! Zolmo to the end zone! Wild final here, wide open is McKenzie, he could go all the way, and he does! Out of nowhere! So here we go. 1st and 10. The handoff to Cook. Diving effort causes the stumble. He misses. Cook into space. Inside, outside. Touchdown, Bills. Play action for Tua. Does he have a throw deep? He's going for glory. It's caught. Touchdown, Jalen Waddle.
But he has to go for 2 here. It really kind of comes down to this right here, right now.
Can he get it? The failed 2-point conversion just a few minutes ago could cost him. That one's intercepted.
It feels great winning the tournament. Like 2 weeks ago, I didn't even know that there was a tournament going on. And then my buddy sent me a message telling me that there would be a tournament and that there's a chance to win tickets to an international NFL game. Looking forward seeing the Dolphins Chiefs game in Germany, being able seeing Tyreek Hill on the Dolphins, seeing Patrick Mahomes. I think it would just be a great game with lots of great players, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I think it was just pretty refreshing seeing that there were talented players from all over Europe, like Austria, Germany, France, playing the game, and I hope that we will see some even bigger tournaments in the future.
Welcome back to the Wraparound. In this edition, we take a look at the ECL Elite Division now that the regular season has come to a close. Let's get into it. Of course, the top 16 teams in Europe battled it out this season for these top 8 spots, and right out of the gates, we start off with the big surprise as Frölunda were able to close the gap and claim the number 1 seed by 1 point over our defending champions in Tunnel Vision. It didn't look like it was going to happen. Tunnel Vision struggled mightily against the shock team in 4th, who I want to give proper claims to in a little bit, and that opened the door for Frölunda to get it done. And indeed, they have that number 1 seed. We have seen it time and time again, just how important it is. Of course, Tunnel Vision finishing 2nd, H-Reds in 3rd. It would seem, barring an upset, Tunnel Vision and H-Reds have a date with destiny, much like Frölunda and H-Reds did in our winter season. And of course, the winner went on to play Tunnel Vision. That was Frölunda, losing in a 7-game series, one that we'll never forget. And speaking of something that we'll never forget, how about Mayhems? I have talked about this team all season long, stepping up in the midst of some controversy, losing their captain, changing their name and identity, but this club steps up, and what a job done. A lot of rookies in this lineup. Yes, you had Jay Toro for that veteran experience. Viltsup was fantastic, all things considered. What a season for Mayhems. I don't think anybody would have had them in 4th, even perhaps not even making the playoffs on the vast majority of predictions for the season. They were great, as were Färjestad. Unbelievable. 2 weeks ago, dead last in the standings, looking like they don't have a shot to accomplish anything this season. And maybe it was the season they finally get relegated, but no. Down the stretch, they figure it out. They go on an incredible run. They acquire FaZe, who looked really solid. In general, solid goaltending across the board. And FBK are back in the playoffs. This was an unbelievable story. And it does set up a battle of 4 versus 5, where it's a feel-good story for either of them to make it to the semifinal. And another feel-good story, it's Leksands in 6th place. They made the Elite Division the day before the season started. You had the change in terms of what team was going to be here from a spot that was vacated, and they stepped up and got it done. A phenomenal season for them. And again, another shock, another story of the season. I don't think anyone was expecting some of these guys to be in the playoffs. Yippee Voskala, though, as for the first time since talking about the top 3, we get to a club that made the playoffs last season. And it was a bit shaky. It took until the final day of the season to guarantee their spot. But now that they're there, we have seen what they can do. They were in the Final 4 last season. We know they can turn it on for the playoffs, and we'll see if indeed they can find a different gear this time out, although the competition level is steep. And then another feel-good story, Red Hawks Esports. This group, for the most part, they've had some, additions here and there, but for the most part, it was a group of veterans. Are they going to be able to keep their spot in Elite? Maybe they can sneak into the playoffs, and indeed they do. And this was a really feel-good story this season to see them step up and make it. And again, with all of that Elite Division experience in the playoffs, it looks to benefit them quite well. Before we talk about the playoffs, we do need to talk about the situation in the lower half of the table, as Hamo, Nordic Stars, Roots Gaming, and Goons all secure their spots in the Elite Division next season. Very disappointing, though, for the likes of Hamo, who miss out on the final day of the season, and for Nordic Stars, who had some gigantic moves this season. King of Apes being brought in, Sisu for his Elite Division rookie campaign, and unfortunately, for one reason or another, they just were not able to get it done. I mean, Bennu was another huge pickup for them, and he proved that he is as legit as we thought he was. He is one of the best goaltenders in this division, flat out. It's a bit of a failure for the season. that is a playoff caliber team that did not make it. Both them and Hamo got to be a little bit frustrated, but at least they have a chance. They don't have to fight for survival. They've already earned it heading into next season. Same for Roots and Goons, who also found themselves in lower spots not all that long ago towards the end of the season, but they secure safety. Tremendous work. And that brings us to the 3 teams that will be in a relegation series against a Pro Division club, last season's Pro Division champions in Totarit, who had their ups and downs this season, and then 2 clubs who were in the playoffs last year, ZSC Esports and Reality Check. This is a massive step down compared to what we expected for them. I don't know if anybody necessarily expected this, and we'll see if they can hold on to their spot, but ultimately, yikes is the only word that comes to mind, and I'm sure they feel the same way. You can't sugarcoat a 14th and 15th place finish, and it brings us, of course, to Örebro Hockey. And it's a shame to see this team go down, because I thought at times this season they really did show that they belonged in this division. I believe it was pointed out that they had the most points for a relegated side in recent history in the Elite Division. The parity in the league this season was out of control, but ultimately just falling short a bit too often. They got off to a terrible start, and unlike Frölunda, unlike Färjestad, they just weren't able, well, Frölunda for that matter too, to be able to make up that ground, but unlike Färjestad, they just weren't able to fully kick it into gear and save themselves. They will be back down in Pro next season. We'll take a look at some numbers here. I believe now, of course, for the 2nd season in a row, it is Leitinen winning the scoring title, 78 points in a full 38 games played. Vatu, his line mate, right there with him. What about Kontala, by the way, for Goons? Perhaps the most underrated forward in the league this season. He is a huge part of the reason as to why Goons avoided a relegation series spot. And then, of course, you have staples like Potzloff and Benito. Kaudo for Lexans was fantastic this season, as was teammate Bror. So again, good to see some new names on the list. Leitinen also claiming the goal scoring title over teammate Vatu. He was the only guy to hit 40 goals, and he finishes with 44. So well done by Leitinen. Defensively, he was defender of the season for our winter campaign, and I won't be surprised if he wins it again. 45 points for Wenger and a plus 46, outdueling the likes of King of Apes. What a story it's been for Wenger over the past 2 seasons. Tremendous, tremendous job. And our goal-scoring king, well, there were 2, King of Apes and J Toro, tied at 10. Both of them former champions in this league. And, of course, the goaltenders. The winningest, it's Nike, who was goaltender of the season previously. Of course, last season it went to Finsere for Reality Check. They didn't quite do as well, and Nike was just able to run with it this season. 22 wins, and with the top save percentage outright of 87.5, outdoing the likes of full-time starters, or at least the majority of starters. Bennu over the half-point point, Hanselinho, Stammer as well for Totarit. And that leads us to the shutout leader as well, with Nike, 8, which again, tremendous season, and it sets the stage for the playoffs. Frölunda taking on Red Hawks. You never say never, but a huge challenge for Red Hawks. Tunnel Vision and Jyppi Vaskala, H-Reds and Lexans, and then again, one that I might be looking forward to the most, and it's because, again, what a story. Mayhems or Färjestad will find themselves in the Final Four. One of them will get that spot, and we'll see if there is an upset of either of the big 3 in that opening round. Never say never.
Looking to share your best moments or highlights with the ECL community? Well, make sure to post your highlights on Twitter with the hashtag ECL23Clips, and you could have your moment featured on our next segment.
Lapoika finds some space, loose puck towards goal, big kick save! Hanselinho point blank denies Nicky Dangles. Break out the Michigan, let's see it. Domi, Safety to deep deflection, rebound, kicked out Hanselinho. He had time to recover. Another shot, another save. Atred's trying to work it back. Nicky dangles Benito across, stopped by Hansu, and another kick save by Villapoika. Benito back to Villapoika. Domi, Teemu, save, rebound save, and Hanselinho covers. My God, here's Benito, shot, lob, save, Hanselinho. Oh my God. Thank you for joining us here on the Wraparound. We hope to see you next time. Thank you for watching, and good night.